There you go. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. So, Callie, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good as well here. How was your day so far?
It's been pretty good. It's been a long one, but it's been a good one.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. Well, welcome to the show. It is so awesome and nice to have someone with a great career as the one that you have here on the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
Now, before we start, I have to give you an epic, badass, proper welcome as someone as badass as you. So, there you go.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
Pretty epic, I know.
I think so.
Right? I love doing this. This is I think like my favorite part, basically.
That's like why you do the whole show.
Yeah, that's basically why I do this. To put that effect, and I'm like, okay, I'm done now. Okay, good. So, starting with the whole
Bye.
yeah, this was everything, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. No, just kidding. So tell me how your acting career started.
So it's kind of a loaded question. I mean, as far as my career, I about 3 or 4 years ago decided that I was I really stepped into it. I was really like, I'm going to do this professionally. I'm going to do this as a career. I'm going to stop making excuses. And I signed with my first agency in 2018.
Okay.
And then since I signed with the I Group back in 2018, I just kind of have been doing it ever since. Before that, I was doing films as side projects or helping out friends. I wasn't really doing it for pay or for career or anything like that. It was just purely out of passion and love. But yeah, 2018 is when I got started.
That's so cool. Wow. Now, what were some of the challenges back when you recently started with your acting career?
I think some of the main challenges were just learning how it all works. So I went to college for theater, and theater is very different than film.
Yeah.
And the college that I went to offered almost no education in terms of film and how the film industry actually works. So for me, the biggest challenge was just learning the difference between theater and film and how to get started doing film as opposed to theater and the techniques that come with doing auditioning.
Yeah.
And yeah, but once I figured it out, it now is kind of like second nature,
Yeah, totally. How cool is that? Now, in 2012, you were in what might have been, was that your first experience? And what are some of the things that you learned from that kind of a first time?
Yeah, so when I did What Might Have Been, it was a very small part, and it was my first IMDb credit, so I was so proud and excited.
Yeah.
But really, I can't understate how small my role was. The story of What Might Have Been is a story of a man grieving his late girlfriend, and I played his late girlfriend. So I think I just had a couple photos in the film and then a recording of a voicemail. But it was cool. It was really exciting to see the work that I did and then see it on film and then also get an IMDb credit.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And you know what? Since that was your first IMDb credit, let's give you an epic quick shout out. So, there you go. Now,
I love that.
Right? Now, in 2016, you were in Star Trek Horizon. Tell me about your character and yeah, what are some of the things that you enjoyed about that project?
Yeah, so I would say Star Trek Horizon was probably one of the first experience I ever had with working on green screen, and that was a huge deal. So Star Trek Horizon was a Star Trek fan film that was filmed in my best friend's basement in Jackson, Michigan, in the middle of nowhere. And he ended up getting a ton of online support for it and a ton of fans and a ton of followers that all really love Star Trek. So I was really happy to be along for the ride on that one. And like I said, it was my first experience acting on a green screen. So a lot of the film, when you watch it, there's people are talking to each other, but they were never in the same room. I know I have a couple scenes with an actor who filmed out in California while I was filming here in Michigan. So yeah, when you watch the film back, you might be able to tell because a lot of us were newer actors at the time. So being now almost 6 years removed from filming this, I like to think that my skill has increased greatly. But yeah, it was a super cool experience, and I met a lot of really awesome people during the project, and then the fans afterwards were like super kind and super supportive. So it was just a great experience. I'm happy to be a part of that project.
How cool is that? That's awesome. Now,
yeah,
like how you usually, or what are some of the things that you usually, or how you prepare basically in order to get ready a character?
Oh, so the greatest lesson that I ever learned as an actor is, nobody's going to play a role like me because nobody is me. So the first thing I try to do is find the similarities in the character with me as a human being. And then from there, I'll try to break down and find idiosyncrasies and find, little quirks that they might have that are different than me, so I can separate myself from character in that way. But yeah, the first thing I try to do is just like dive in and try to like make them as real as possible. And I find the best way to do that is connect even deeper into myself. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. And what are some of the things that you love the most about playing a character?
Oh gosh. It kind of I love human psychology, and I love human beings in general. So being able to actually not just study, but study and then create what it means to be human, and then like decide to be, or like create a whole different person, is really cool to me. So it's like using myself as the foundation or the base layer, and then building a house on top of that. So getting to add things that I think would be interesting to watch, that I think are interesting behavior, or getting to watch things that are that I might think that somebody else would find interesting. So it's just it's a really interesting thing to be able to study the brain and then be able to apply it immediately when you get to play a character.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. That's super cool. Now, that same year in 2016, you were also in the Trophy, Liberty Secret. So tell me also about those projects and about your characters as well.
Yeah. So the Liberty Secret was actually probably, I think, my first professional film job, and I ended up going there just to be like a featured, or to be a background actor. Like I was just going to be bar patron number whatever. But I ended up getting a featured role, so I got just a small amount of screen time with the lead actress, which was really cool. But it was the first time I'd gotten to see how a film set worked. Yeah. So it was really crucial, I think, to my development as an actor. And the Trophy was a project that my best friend and I did for a film competition for the Road Mic. Okay. And that was a really interesting experience. I got to play. It was my first time like working in a while. Like I took a couple months off from acting, so it was my first time like back acting in a while. And yeah, I was just really grateful to do it and to be there. Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, what would you say is like an important aspect for storytelling, either for a film, TV show?
Okay. Oh, that's a really good question. I think that for me, the most important aspect of storytelling is making interesting characters. Okay. So I find that there are a couple different types of artists and writers and creators, and there are plot-driven. There are plot-driven writers, and then there are character-driven writers, and then there are world-building writers. But for me, I am a character person through and through. Like I mentioned earlier, human psychology, I really enjoy breaking down that. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think being able to watch interesting people do mundane things is more interesting than watching boring people do really exciting things, you know? So does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does a lot. Yeah, I mean, we will see like a lot of we can see that and that sometimes we will have like this characters, but the story is but the performance is so good that you ended up loving it, and we have like the other way around, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have a really good friend who's a writer, and I can't remember exactly the example that he used right now, but he was the one that kind of pointed pointed that out to me. He said something to the effect of like, I would rather watch the Joker order coffee than watch Joe Blow, you know, fight a demon or something like that. And it just really stuck with me because it is like watching an interesting person do something like every day and mundane is going to be more interesting.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Wow. Now, I'm a little bit speechless now, but I'm back now. So, for being in projects such as Runaway, Unravel, The Substitute, Reverie, Stretch, Karma Past Due, Ever After, Enigma 4. So tell me what are some of the highlight moments that you had during those projects?
Oh gosh. So you mentioned Runaway, and Runaway was a film set that I was actually able to produce and help put on, which was the first like real film set that I had put together or assisted in putting together, which was really incredible. I got to work with some really amazing actors on that, and that ended up being like, I guess I could say the first big thing that I did outside of Star Trek Horizon, which was a fan film. Runaway went on to play in New York and in LA, which was really exciting and really awesome. Because like I said, I had, before I had filmed Runaway, I spent a couple, about 6 months, like pretty sick. Yeah. Like I had an illness that came during that time period. And so I was able to kind of step back onto a film set in a really awesome way that kind of like opened up and told an interesting story. Yeah. But all of those projects that you named have been, each one is a different growing experience, and each one is a different learning experience. All of them were such vastly different characters. You mentioned Reveries. It's one of my favorite projects I've ever done, actually. It takes place in the 80s, if I recall correctly. And Sam, if you ever see this, I'm so sorry I'm not remembering the decade. But it takes place, it has like a retro vintage feel to it, and it's about the Oakland County child killer, which is a serial killer that existed in Michigan back, I think it was maybe the 90s then. I think it was the 90s. It's been a couple years since I've even watched the film, but it was really an amazing project to be a part of. Wow,
that's so amazing. I mean, so far I can only say that your career is so badass.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if I had to say only one thing about your career at the moment, I would only say this. Perfect. So, moving on. Right. So, wait. Yeah. So, sorry. So, then in 2019, we will see that you were in the Blood Crystal Star Wars story. That's badass. So, tell me about the character there, and what did you enjoy the most about it?
Yeah. So I kind of got onto that project as a last minute thing. The actress who was supposed to play the role that I played dropped just a couple days, even I think like 48 hours before she was supposed to film. And the gaffer on that set was a friend of mine, and he reached out to me and said, you know, are you available on this day? Can you do this? And I ended up moving things around because I really wanted to be a part of this project.
Of course.
It had been like it was a really big talked about project in my area, and so yeah, like I said, I ended up moving my entire day around, and I had another shoot so I could be a part of that. And it was a small role. All I ended up doing was being a character on a hologram, but I ended up playing a queen who delivered like a pretty important message for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
It was a cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so you technically are in the Star Wars universe, you know?
Technically, yes.
That's the start. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Now, also that year, we can see that a lot of your awesome performances. So, can you tell me, like, can you tell me, like, where can we watch them, or what new things are gonna be released soon? So, can you give me like can you give me like a little heads up about the future projects, and also about where can we watch some of the previous ones?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of my stuff is on YouTube. You can search the titles of them, but the things that I've done recently, I think since 2019, a lot of those are either still being finished or are going to like DVD releases.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I did a project last year called Camp Murder, which was one of my most favorite projects I've ever done. Everything about that set was fantastic. Every person that was on it was amazing, and the story itself was, it's just so good. It's like an intentionally bad horror film. Like it's very self-aware and knows that it is all the cliches of an 80s horror film. But that will be releasing here in Michigan in October, or at the end of October, so the 28th. And I think that's going to, I'm not positive exactly where they're going with that afterwards. I know there's been talks of like a DVD release, and I know there's been talks of like streaming services, but I'm not sure that they know exactly where that's going yet. And then I have another project that's airing or premiering sometime before the end of the year called Crow, which is another fan film from Brandon Lee's The Crow. But that should have a YouTube release, I believe. I know that there was talks of putting it on a streaming service as well, but I'm not positive exactly where that's going. But a lot of my stuff is on YouTube, and you can follow along with a lot of the things that I do on Instagram as well.
That's so cool, and we have exclusive here. Yes. Now, you have also been in theater for plays such as Mating Calls, Hamlet, Antigone, Heather Gabler, The Crucible, Rabbit Hole. So tell me about your characters there, and what do you enjoy the most about theater?
Oh man, so I love theater. I think theater is a truer form of acting than film acting is. They're very different.
Totally.
But acting is being, and so to be a good actor, you have to just exist, and you have to just be in the moment. And theater allows you to do that so much better than film does, because film is, rolling action. You emote, you cry, you scream, whatever you need to do, and then cut, and then you reset, and you go back to that moment before. So film ends up being so much more technical, and more of like, I kind of think film is doing reps at a gym. You're lifting the weights over and over again. Whereas theater is just a jog. You tell a whole story as it goes. But a lot of the characters that I have had the honor of being, when I was in college, I studied classical theater and like theater styles through modern day. So going all the way back from classic Greek and Shakespeare, and then like Restoration and so on. And so a lot of the characters that I've had the honor of playing have been like historic characters that have been played a million times. And with each person that steps into that role that's been played a million times, they bring something new to it. So for example, I had the opportunity to play Ophelia in Hamlet. And Ophelia is a 100-year-old character who was originally first played by a man. I think that's really cool. But she's a really interesting mental character to play around with. And Antigone is also a like classically old character. I mean, Antigone is from ancient Greece. She's one of the major ancient Greek characters, and so I had the opportunity to play her while I was in college, and I think that was one of my most favorite characters to play and my most favorite headspace to get into, because are you familiar with the story of Antigone?
Not really, though. No.
Okay.
Very
So the story of Antigone in ancient Greek culture, in order to properly pass over into the underworld and into the afterlife, your family has to bury you. And so there's the civil war that breaks out, and Antigone's brother doesn't get buried. And so she goes to bury her brother so that his soul can pass to the underworld, but in doing so, she's committing treason against the king. So it's this really interesting mental dilemma. So I love theater. It's been a while since I've had an opportunity to actually do theater, because it doesn't pay the bills as well as film does.
But
yeah, no, that's
That's amazing. Now, what do you think is the key aspect for a play to be a successful one?
For a play? Oh, so I think in a play, there's two things that'll bring people in. If it's a new play and that nobody's ever heard of, it's got to be interesting actors.
Okay.
And if it's an old play, or if it's not interesting actors, it's got to be an old play that everybody's heard of, like Hamlet. Because somebody would go see Hamlet more than they would go see, no name whatever in no name play whatever. You know what I mean? But again, I think a play is only as good as its most unprepared performer. So for that, whatever that's worth.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can understand that. It's like, for example, if we're going to see a play and you are in the cast, then it's for sure gonna be a killer one.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Now, like, how you usually prepare before going on stage? I mean, is there like a go-to meal or a go-to song? Like, do you have, like, let's say, like this called ritual or like, what is your process in order to go on stage?
Oh, so a lot of times when I'm getting into a character headspace, I use music a lot. So I don't necessarily have a go-to song. It's just kind of whatever, during the rehearsal process or whatever I've been like listening to and connecting with the character, that is what I will, put on. And I like to get to the theater like even earlier than I'm supposed to be, because a lot of times I'll lay on the stage and kind of get into the zone and do like a mini meditation to get into the character while listening to that song. So I guess that's kind of my ritual. One of the most important parts about being an actor, like I said earlier, is like staying present and being. And so when you can be familiar with your space and actually like know where you're at and get a feel of the room and connect with it, that's super helpful for me.
Okay, that's cool. Now, if you could describe your acting career at the moment in a movie, play, or even a TV show, what would be the title of it?
I know you sent me these questions earlier, and I've been thinking about this one all day. Currently, at the current state, I think it would be, this might be really uncreative.
That's
but
fine.
I think the best thing that I would call it is like an unsure journey. I'm at a point where I'm ready to take the next steps, and I'm ready to take on bigger things, but I don't know where those bigger things are coming from, and I'm hustling and I'm grinding and I'm trying to meet new people and train even harder. But acting is can be such a fickle business sometimes. You never know when the next thing's coming in. So
yeah. And tell me, so it would be the unsure thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would it be like a comedy or a drama, or comedy with drama, or horror one, or action one?
I think we'd have to be a dramedy for sure.
Dramedy.
Like,
okay.
You got to make comedy out of the uncomfortable things.
Yeah, totally. All right, like it. Yeah. Then, if at some point you are going to create your own movie, play, or TV show, you can go back here and be like, oh yeah, I got a title already. Here we go.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for your help with that.
It's an investment for the future. I mean, the future you is going to be like, thank God we had this interview. I got it now.
Yes, thank you.
There you go. Now, you also do modeling. So tell me how you usually prepare before a photo shoot.
Oh boy. So I have been really blessed to work with some excellent photographers, and usually with modeling specifically, at least the shoots that I've done, it's been truly collaboration. So the photographer will come to me with, I have this idea and these are inspirations that I have. What do you think? What can you add? What can you take away? And so from there, I'll kind of like potentially send outfit pieces that I have, or send other ideas. And then from there, we just kind of go into the shoot. And it's kind of awesome because I feel that at the end of the shoot, what comes out is never necessarily what either of us went in intending to create. So that's really cool. I also do lifestyle modeling as well, which is different than like fashion and a lot of what's on my Instagram. And lifestyle modeling typically ends up being like, you know, posing for a box, you know, or for like a consumer product, you know, where like I remember one of my first modeling jobs was pretending to go fishing for like 4 hours. I just did this while people took pictures of me, which was interesting, but it was cool.
Totally.
There wasn't really a mindset or a lot of creativity there. It was just, you know, I'm at the lake and I'm fishing.
Totally. And what do you usually do after a photo shoot?
Oh boy, I usually travel. A lot of my photo shoots I've traveled for, so I usually end up traveling like an hour or more to go do. So I usually spend my drive home afterwards. I usually get like a really big meal, and I just kind of listen to a really good song, and I just kind of unwind. Because I always get a little anxious before modeling shoots. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm still, you know, stepping into that being like a regular thing that I do. So I always get a little anxious. So my drive home, I always just kind of relax and like just kick back. Yeah.
That's awesome. And like from all of the places that you have traveled for a photo shoot, what are some of your favorite ones?
I did a couple years back. I did a few photo shoots in Cleveland, Ohio. That were pretty cool. I got to see the city a little bit more than I had ever before, so it was really interesting. And then I even did a couple of photo shoots in Atlanta, Georgia, which were really fun. I really enjoyed working with that photographer who he just kind of made the city his own and was like, we're gonna shoot here and do this and this and this, and you know, he taught me a lot about what it means to be a model and how to model, and his style was really specific. So yeah, it was really cool. That's so
awesome. And my last question here, what can we expect from Callie in the future?
Well, if I have my way, which I like to, so I see it coming. What you can expect from me in the future is a lot more cool things. I really enjoy doing like science fiction and dystopian type stories. So ideally, that will be the type of stuff that you see me in.
There you go. You go. That is awesome. I mean, Callie, at the end of the day, what can I say? I mean, your career is awesome. You have done like so many cool things. I mean, I was doing the whole research here, and basically your resume, it's full. I mean, it's full. There's no blank space. It's full. We got with a lot of epic stuff here. So keep being that super epic person that you always are, because we need more people like that, especially right now during these crazy times. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of your awesome work in the future. I'm super sure that at some point we will see you in more epic stuff, and even one of those big franchises. I mean, who knows? You know, sky's the limit. But
sky's the limit. Yeah.
But I'm sure that that at the end of the day you're gonna make it happen, because as I said, if someone is super talented and the way that you're expressing everything with that much emotion and passion, I mean, you could totally tell here that you love what you do, and that is something that it's inspiring at the same time. So because we finished the questions, and because you're a badass here, I need to give you another super shout out here. So and keep rocking. Also, I want to thank those who are watching, and those who are watching this later on the YouTube video, or listening to this later on the podcast. Make sure that you're following Callie in all of social media. Normally, what I would say is for you to put pause, leave a like, subscribe. You know, just super quick. It helps a lot here. You know. But anyway, then hydrate, and then go follow Callie. Leave a million likes. Support her. Share content. I mean, spread the word that we have such an amazing, talented, badass actress here. I'll come back for sure. And Callie, again, thank you so much. Before I send you off, I need to send you off in an epic, proper, badass way for someone as badass as you. So, so yeah, keep rocking and keep being amazing.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.